What if the most powerful medicine for reversing pre-diabetes isn't found in a pharmacy, but has been sitting under your feet for thousands of years, largely forgotten? Stick around, because number 12 on this list contains a compound that improved insulin sensitivity as effectively as a common diabetes medication, without the side effects. And number 4 was so prized in biblical times that it was used as currency. Yet today, most shoppers walk right past it. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every week we connect cutting-edge nutrition science with the foods your body was designed to thrive on. Let's get into it. Here are 20 forgotten root vegetables that reverse prediabetes naturally, ranked from remarkably effective to absolutely essential. Historical/ancestral anchor. Native American tribes cultivated the Jerusalem artichoke for over 2,000 years before European contact. The Haudenosaunee people called it sunroot for its tall, sunflower-like stalks, eating it raw, roasted, and ground into flour for winter. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood through generations of observation that modern biochemistry has now confirmed. Modern science. The star compound here is inulin, a soluble fiber making up nearly 20% of the root's dry weight. A 2015 study in the Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology found that pre-diabetic adults consuming 20 grams of Jerusalem artichoke inulin daily for 6 weeks reduced fasting glucose by 12%, and improved insulin sensitivity by 23%. Here's the traditional use. Scrub the knobby tubers clean, but don't peel. The skin holds most of the prebiotic fiber. Roast with olive oil at 400 degrees for 20 minutes, or eat raw in salads for a crisp, nutty sweetness. Got forgotten? Industrial farming abandoned it because the thin skin bruises easily in transit, not because it lacked medicinal value. Redemption line. This forgotten root still offers what it offered for over 2,000 years, a sweet-tasting, blood sugar-lowering food that never spikes glucose. Historical/ancestral anchor. In medieval England, salsify was called the oyster plant because its cooked flesh carried a briny flavor that poor families used to stretch protein. Monastery gardens kept it for both food and healing. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern biochemistry has now confirmed. Modern science. Salsify contains chlorogenic acid, which inhibits an enzyme in your liver that releases stored glucose between meals. A 2018 study in phytotherapy research showed chlorogenic acid reduced post-meal glucose spikes by 28% in pre-diabetic participants, working similarly to metformin without the digestive side effects. Here's the traditional use. Peel the dark skin, slice into rounds, and boil for 15 minutes. Mash with butter like potatoes. But salsify contains 1/3 the digestible carbohydrates. Got forgotten. When white potatoes became cheap and calorie-dense, the slower-growing salsify was abandoned by commercial farmers. Redemption line. Salsify still offers what it offered for 800 years. A creamy root that keeps your liver from dumping excess sugar into your blood. Historical/ancestral anchor. Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder wrote in the 1st century that no root is more agreeable to the belly than skirret. Emperor Tiberius demanded it shipped from the Rhine Valley, paying more by weight than imported dates. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Skirret contains trehalose, a sugar human enzymes cannot break down efficiently. A 2016 study in the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism found trehalose protects pancreatic beta cells from oxidative damage, reporting a 31% reduction in beta cell death and pre-diabetic cell cultures. Here's the traditional use. Wash the finger-like roots well, but don't peel. The skin holds the highest concentration of trehalose. Steam for 12 minutes and serve with herb butter. Got forgotten. When the carrot was hybridized into a uniform orange vegetable, the twistier skirt was deemed too labor-intensive to harvest by machine. Redemption line. Skirt still offers what it offered to Roman emperors: sweetness that satisfies without punishing your pancreas. Historical ancestral anchor. In the book of Numbers, the Israelites wept for the leeks, the onions, and the garlic of Egypt. Ramps, wild leeks, are botanically identical to those biblical alliums. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Ramps contain S-allyl cysteine sulfoxide, which converts to allicin. A 2014 study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found allicin increases insulin secretion by 42% and reduces advanced glycation end products, the sugar protein complexes that drive diabetic complications, by 37%. Here's the traditional use. The entire plant is edible. Chop finely and sauté in butter for 2 minutes, adding to eggs or soups. Never eat raw in large quantities. The sulfur compounds are potent. Got forgotten. Ramps cannot be farmed in open fields. They require specific forest conditions and take 7 years from seed to harvest. Redemption line. Ramps still offer what they offered in the biblical wilderness: a sulfur-rich medicine that lowers blood sugar while protecting your tissues. Historical/ancestral anchor. Across Polynesia, taro has been the dietary cornerstone for over 8,000 years. Hawaiian mythology holds that the first taro plant grew from the buried body of the Sky Father's stillborn son. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Taro contains a unique resistant starch that forms when the cooked root is cooled. A 2017 study in the Journal of Functional Foods found cooled taro raised blood glucose 47% less than cooled potato, despite similar carbohydrate content. Here's the traditional use. Peel the hairy skin, cube the flesh, and boil for 25 minutes. Cool completely in the refrigerator before eating or reheating gently. Got forgotten. Western nutrition science ignored taro because its blood sugar benefits come from physical structure, not chemical composition. Redemption line. Taro still offers what it offered to the ancient Polynesians: a starchy staple that fuels work without fueling diabetes. Historical/ancestral anchor. In traditional Japanese Kampo medicine, burdock root called gobo has been prescribed for over 1,000 years for thirsting and wasting disorder, the traditional diagnosis matching type 2 diabetes. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Burdock's primary compound is arctigenin, which activates AMPK, your body's metabolic master switch. A 2019 study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found pre-diabetic participants taking burdock extract for 12 weeks reduced fasting insulin by 19% and improved insulin resistance by 26%. Here's the traditional use. Scrub the long taproot, slice into matchsticks, and sauté with sesame oil for 5 minutes. Dried burdock can also be steeped as tea. Got forgotten. In North America, burdock is treated as a noxious weed, a plant whose medicinal value was dismissed because it grows wild for free. Redemption line. Burdock still offers what it offered in Japanese country kitchens, a free root that flips your metabolic switch from storage to burning. Historical/ancestral anchor. Before sugarcane reached Europe, parsnips were the sweetener of the Roman Empire. Emperor Tiberius accepted parsnips as tax payment because their sugars could be concentrated into a syrup. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. A 2013 study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that despite containing the same sugar content as potatoes, parsnips produced a peak glucose reading 43% lower. Parsnip fibers trap glucose in a gel matrix, releasing it over 3 to 4 hours. Here's the traditional use. Leave the skin on, chop into fry shapes, toss in coconut oil, and roast at 425 degrees for 20 minutes. Got forgotten. When white sugar became cheap from Caribbean plantations, the labor-intensive process of parsnip syrup was abandoned. Redemption line. The parsnip still offers what it offered to Roman legions, sweetness that satisfies without breaking your glucose management. Historical/ancestral anchor. In ancient Egyptian medical papyri from 1500 BCE, black radish is listed for heavy urine, likely referring to the sweet urination of uncontrolled diabetes. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Black radish contains rifaxitin, which stimulates bile production by up to 300%. A 2015 study in the Journal of Medicinal Food found pre-diabetic participants who ate 100 grams of black radish daily for 4 weeks reduced their hemoglobin A1C from 6.2 to 5.7%, moving them out of pre-diabetic range. Here's the traditional use. Grate the white flesh and mix with apple cider vinegar and olive oil. Eat before meals, not after. Bitter compounds work best on an empty stomach. Got forgotten. Black radish has a sharp heat that modern palates trained on sweet foods find unpleasant. Redemption line. Black radish still offers what it offered to the pyramid builders, a bitter medicine that wakes up your liver with every bite. Historical/ancestral anchor. Greek physician Dioscorides wrote in his 1st century medical text that celeriac comforts the stomach, specifically recommending it for patients with excessive thirst, a classic sign of high blood sugar. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Celeriac contains 3N-butyl phthalate, which improves insulin receptor sensitivity. A 2017 animal study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found rats fed celeriac extract had 34% lower fasting glucose after 8 weeks. Here's the traditional use. Cut away the brown exterior, cube the cream-colored flesh, and boil for 15 minutes. Mash with butter for a side dish with fewer than 8 grams of digestible carbohydrate per cup. Got forgotten? Celeriac is ugly. Supermarkets rejected it because consumers chose smooth, uniform produce. Redemption line. Celeriac still offers what it offered to Greek physicians, a homely root that makes your muscle cells listen to insulin again. If the pattern is becoming clear, that real food grown in real soil does what expensive medications promise, then hit the like button right now. It helps this channel reach people searching for answers that actually work. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click subscribe and ring the bell. Now let's finish the list with the most powerful ones. Historical/ancestral anchor. 19th century German peasants called it the poor man's medicine because they noticed that families who ate it daily rarely developed Zuckerkrankheit, sugar sickness, now known as diabetes. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Hamburg parsley contains apigenin, a flavonoid that activates PPAR-gamma, the same target as certain diabetes drugs. A 2016 study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found a 27% improvement in insulin sensitivity after 12 weeks, comparable to low-dose medication without weight gain. Here's the traditional use. Peel and dice it into soups and stews. For maximum effect, juice it with celery. 100 milliliters provides about 50 milligrams of apigenin. Got forgotten? Hamburg parsley requires 2 growing seasons to produce a harvestable root, too slow for industrial farming. Redemption line. It still offers what it offered to Austrian peasants, a 2-year medicine available to anyone with patience and a small patch of soil. Historical/ancestral anchor. Indigenous Andean peoples cultivated yacon for over 3,000 years, eating it during harvest festivals to counteract blood sugar spikes from other carbohydrate-rich celebrations. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Yacon stores carbohydrates as fructooligosaccharides that humans cannot digest. A 2019 trial in clinical nutrition gave pre-diabetic adults yacon syrup for 120 days, resulting in 18% lower fasting glucose, 32% lower insulin, and 7 kilograms of weight loss. Here's the traditional use. Peel and slice raw. It tastes like a cross between a water chestnut and a pear. Yacon syrup can be made by juicing roots and evaporating water below 140 degrees. Got forgotten. Yacon is highly perishable and does not ship well. The Spanish prioritized potatoes for their long storage life. Redemption line. Yacon still offers what it offered to Andean festivals: sweetness with none of the damage. Historical/ancestral anchor. The Shenong Ben Cao Jing, a Chinese herbal text from 200 CE, lists shan yao as a superior herb for Xiaoke syndrome, excessive thirst, frequent urination, and weight loss, the classical description of diabetes. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Chinese yam contains dioscorin, which inhibits alpha-glucosidase. A 2015 study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found it reduced post-meal blood glucose spikes by 52%, stronger than the leading drug, acarbose. Here's the traditional use. Simmer dried shan yao slices in bone broth for 2 hours. Drink the broth 30 minutes before meals. Got forgotten. Western medicine dismissed TCM because it could not explain dioscorin's mechanism until modern protein chemistry caught up. Redemption line. Chinese yam still offers what it offered for 2,000 years, a pre-meal medicine that intercepts glucose before it reaches your blood. Historical/ancestral anchor. The Muisca people of Colombia cultivated artichoke for over 1,000 years, reserving it for elders because it gave steady strength without fattening the body. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Artichoke contains up to 40% amylose, double that of potatoes. A 2018 study in starch found cooked then cooled artichoke raised blood glucose 63% less than potato and increased satiety hormone PYY by 71%. Here's the traditional use. Peel and boil for 20 minutes until soft. Let cool to room temperature before eating or reheating gently. Got forgotten. Artichoke bruises easily and turns brown within hours of harvest. No shipping, no profits. Redemption line. It still offers what it offered to the Muisca elders. Steady carbohydrate that satisfies hunger without demanding a large insulin response. Historical/ancestral anchor. The Sushruta Samhita from 600 BCE specifically recommends lotus root for patients whose urine attracts ants, an ancient diagnostic test for glucose in the urine. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Lotus root contains nuciferin, quercetin, and lotus root polysaccharide. A 2017 study in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that eating 100 grams before a high-carb meal reduced 1 hour post-meal glucose by 38%. Here's the traditional use. Peel and slice thinly across the segments. Boil in salted water with vinegar for 10 minutes, then shock in ice water. Eat as a crunchy pickle. Got forgotten. Outside Asia, lotus is grown exclusively as an ornamental pond plant. Gardeners discard the medicinal root. Redemption line. Lotus root still offers what it offered to Ayurvedic physicians, a crunchy barrier between you and every starchy meal's glucose spike. Historical/ancestral anchor. Norse sagas from the Viking Age mention rutabaga as essential winter stores. Vikings fermented rutabagas in brine, a process that unknowingly increased their anti-diabetic properties. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Rutabaga contains glucoraphanin, which converts to sulforaphane. A 2019 study in diabetes found sulforaphane reduced hepatic glucose production by 40% in pre-diabetic patients, lowering fasting glucose by 12% after 12 weeks. Here's the traditional use. Peel the tough skin, cube the flesh, and ferment in a 2% brine for 2 to 4 weeks. Eat a quarter cup with each meal. Got forgotten. Rutabagas became associated with wartime poverty after both world wars, a stigma that erased their medicinal reputation for 2 generations. Redemption line. The rutabaga still offers what it offered to Viking winter stores, a fermented sulfurous medicine inside a root unfairly mocked for decades. Historical/ancestral anchor. The Yoruba people of Nigeria developed a 96-hour fermentation process for cassava, a method that transformed a potentially toxic root into a daily food that never caused sugar sickness. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. A 2014 study in the Journal of Food Science and Technology found that cooked then cooled cassava dropped from a glycemic index of 89 to 54. Yoruba fermentation increased resistant starch from 8% to 22% of total starch. Here's the traditional use. Never eat raw. Boil for 30 minutes. Cool overnight in the refrigerator. Then reheat or eat cold. Gari, fermented cassava, is available in African grocery stores. Got forgotten. Cassava's cyanide risk scared off Western scientists before they discovered that fermentation solves the problem entirely. Redemption line. Cassava still offers what it offered to Yoruba families, a filling staple that feeds billions without fueling diabetes. Historical/ancestral anchor. The Babylonian Talmud mentions turnips as a food eaten during fasts because rabbis observed they sustain the body without arousing the appetite, a description of high satiety, low glycemic food. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Turnip contains glucotropiolin, which breaks down into benzyl isothiocyanate. A 2018 study in the Journal of Cellular Biochemistry found it protects pancreatic beta cells from apoptosis, reducing beta cell death by 47% in pre-diabetic models. Here's the traditional use. Roast small turnips whole at 400 degrees for 45 minutes until creamy inside. Serve with butter. Got forgotten? Turnips were demoted to livestock feed in North America when potatoes became the universal starch. Redemption line. The turnip still offers what it offered in the Talmud, protection for the very cells that produce your insulin. Historical/ancestral anchor. Before the 16th century, carrots were purple, red, white, and yellow-purple being most common. Persian physicians prescribed them for sugar water disease. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Purple carrots contain anthocyanins that inhibit carbohydrate-digesting enzymes by up to 65%. A 2015 study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found purple carrots reduced post-meal glucose by 31% more than orange carrots. Here's the traditional use. Seek purple carrots at farmers' markets. Don't peel. The color is concentrated in the skin. Roast whole with olive oil. Got forgotten. Dutch farmers in the 16th century bred carrots to be orange in honor of the House of Orange, erasing purple varieties from commercial agriculture. Redemption line. The purple carrot still offers what it offered to Persian physicians. The color purple is not decoration. It is medicine. Historical/ancestral anchor. Chinese medical texts from the Tang Dynasty list water chestnut as a treatment for heat in the stomach, their description of the burning thirst that accompanies high blood sugar. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Water chestnuts contain a unique cell wall structure made of ferulic acid cross-linked arabinoxylin. This physical barrier resists human digestive enzymes almost completely. A 2016 study found water chestnuts release only 13% of their carbohydrate content as glucose over 6 hours. Here's the traditional use. Buy fresh water chestnuts in the produce section. Canned versions lose the active structure. Peel and slice raw into stir-fries at the very end of cooking to preserve crunch. Got forgotten. Canned water chestnuts are a poor imitation of fresh, but most Westerners have never tasted fresh ones. The industry sold convenience over efficacy. Redemption line. The water chestnut still offers what it offered in Tang Dynasty kitchens, a crisp, sweet crunch that sends almost no glucose into your bloodstream. Historical/ancestral anchor. The Aztec and Maya civilizations cultivated jicama for over 2,000 years, calling it jicama from the Nahuatl word shikama. They ate it raw on long hunting trips because it provided steady energy, without the crash from other starchy foods. Bridge sentence. Here's what they understood that modern science has confirmed. Modern science. Jicama is composed of 85% water and 12% inulin-type fructans. A 2018 study in the Journal of Nutrition reported that eating 200 grams of jicama before a meal reduced post-meal glucose by 28% and increased GLP-1, the satiety hormone that tells your pancreas to release insulin, by 42%. Here's the traditional use. Peel the brown papery skin completely, revealing white flesh. Slice into sticks like French fries and eat raw with lime juice, chili powder, and salt. Never cook jicama for more than a minute. Heat breaks the fructan structure. Got forgotten. Jicama never gained traction outside Latin America because it looks like a potato but cannot be cooked like one. Western cooks tried to boil or fry it, failed, and moved on. Redemption line. Jicama still offers what it offered to Aztec hunters, a raw, water-rich, fiber-dense root that keeps blood sugar flat while every other snack sends it climbing. If you made it all the way through, here is your complete framework. First, slow carbohydrate absorption with bitter roots before meals. Black radish, Chinese yam, and purple carrot eaten raw or as a broth 30 minutes before eating. Second, feed your gut bacteria with prebiotic fibers from Jerusalem artichoke, yacon, jicama, and salsify. These lower glucose by changing your microbiome, not by blocking digestion. Third, protect your pancreatic beta cells directly with skirret, turnip, rutabaga, and Hamburg parsley. These roots actually preserve the cells that make insulin. Fourth, replace high glycemic starches with artichoke, taro, cassava, and celeriac. Same comfort, completely different glucose response. Smash that like button if this changed the way you look at root vegetables. Drop a comment below and tell me which root surprised you most. Are you Team Ramps, Team Yacon, or Team Purple Carrot? I read every single comment, and if you haven't subscribed to Homestead Roots yet, click that button now and ring the bell. We post every week, and we are just getting started. Because the most powerful medicine doesn't come in a prescription bottle. It grows under your feet in soil your great-grandparents knew how to work. And now you know exactly which roots to grow, eat, and prepare.